There are stories that begin with power, and there are stories that begin with a man standing alone. Far from the cities, in the harsh lands of Arabia, lived a man from the tribe of Ghifar. His name was Jundub ibn Junadah. History would remember him as Abu Dharr Al-Ghifari. His life would become a story of courage, faith, sacrifice, and an uncompromising search for truth. But before he became one of the companions of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, Abu Dharr was simply a man searching for something greater than the world around him. Ghifar was an Arab tribe known in the harsh environment of the Arabian Peninsula. Life in those lands demanded strength. Water was precious, travel was dangerous, and survival depended upon courage, loyalty.
Abu Dharr was shaped by this world. He knew the desert. He knew hardship, and he possessed a personality that would never easily submit to what he believed was false. Even before Islam reached him, Abu Dharr was not satisfied with the religious world around him. He would later describe how he had practiced prayer before the coming of the messenger of Allah, although he did not know the established direction of prayer. His heart was already searching. He did not yet know the name of the path he was seeking, but he was searching for Allah, and that search would eventually lead him toward Makkah. Then news reached Abu Dharr.
A man had appeared in Makkah. He claimed to be a prophet. He called people to worship Allah and rejected the idols of the Quraysh. Abu Dharr wanted to know the truth for himself, so he turned to his brother, Unais. He told him to travel to Makkah, meet this man, listen carefully to what he said, and return with a report. It was not enough for Abu Dharr to hear rumors. He needed certainty. Unais traveled toward Makkah. There he met the man whose message was beginning to challenge the beliefs of Quraysh. He listened. Then he returned to his brother. Abu Dharr asked him what he had discovered. Unais told him that he had seen a man calling people to good and warning them against evil, and his words were unlike poetry. But Abu Dharr was still not satisfied. The answer had not reached his heart.
Abu Dharr decided to go himself. He took provisions for the journey. He carried a water skin. He took his staff, and he set out across the Arabian desert toward Mecca. He did not know what awaited him there. He only knew that he had to discover the truth with his own eyes. The journey would be difficult, but for Abu Dharr, certainty was worth the hardship. Across the vast Arabian landscape, Abu Dharr traveled alone. The desert offered little comfort. There were no paved roads, no marked routes, no protection, only mountains, stone, sand, and the relentless sun. But every step brought him closer to the city where a new message had begun to spread, a message that would change Arabia forever. At last, Abu Dharr reached Mecca. He entered the city as a stranger. He did not know the man he had come to find, and he did not want to ask openly. The Quraysh were hostile toward Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, so Abu Dharr remained cautious. He went to the sacred mosque, and there he waited. The first night passed. Abu Dharr still had not found the messenger of Allah. He remained near the sacred mosque. He drank from the water of Zamzam, and he waited. He was a stranger in a city where he knew no one, yet he refused to abandon his search. Then, as night fell, Ali ibn Abi Talib noticed him. Ali recognized that this was a traveler who appeared to be a stranger in Makkah. But neither man immediately asked the other about his purpose. Ali took notice of the stranger, but caution was necessary. Makkah was not a safe place for someone openly searching for Muhammad. So Abu Dharr followed Ali without revealing his purpose. The two men remained cautious. No unnecessary questions, no unnecessary words, only the silent understanding of two men moving through a dangerous city. The next day passed. Abu Dharr continued waiting. He searched for the messenger of Allah, but still did not find him. Night came again, and once more Ali encountered him. The same cautious pattern repeated. Abu Dharr had traveled all this way, yet the truth he had come seeking remained just beyond his reach. Then came another night.
Ali returned. This time, he asked Abu Dharr what had brought him to Makkah. But Abu Dharr would reveal his purpose only after receiving a promise of guidance and safety. Ali agreed, and Abu Dharr finally told him why he had crossed the desert. He was looking for the man who claimed to be the messenger of Allah. Ali then told him the truth. Yes, the man Abu Dharr had been searching for was indeed the messenger of Allah. The next morning, Abu Dharr followed Ali. They moved carefully through Makkah. At last, Abu Dharr entered upon the messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him. We do not portray the messenger of Allah in this film. Instead, we remain with Abu Dharr's perspective. He listened, he heard the message, and in that moment, the long search of his heart reached its answer. Abu Dharr accepted Islam. The man who had entered Makkah searching for truth had now found it. But the messenger of Allah advised him to return to his people and inform them when the time was right. Abu Dharr had another thought. He was not a man who easily remained silent. He wanted the people of Makkah to hear the declaration of faith. And so, despite the danger, he decided to make his belief public. Abu Dharr walked into the sacred mosque. The Quraysh were there. He stood among them, and with courage he proclaimed his testimony of faith. There is no deity worthy of worship except Allah, and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. The words were simple, but in Makkah at that moment they were revolutionary. The reaction was immediate. Men from Quraysh rushed toward him. Abu Dharr was attacked. He was beaten severely. The man who had crossed the desert searching for truth was now lying on the ground beneath the blows of his enemies. But he had said what he believed, and he would not take it back. Then Al-Abbas ibn Abdul-Muttalib intervened. He protected Abu Dharr from the crowd. He reminded Quraysh that this man belonged to Ghifar, and the trade routes used by Quraysh toward Syria passed through territories connected with Ghifar. The warning caused them to stop. Abu Dharr survived, but the danger had not disappeared. The following day, Abu Dharr returned. He had already experienced the violence of Quraysh, yet fear had not erased his conviction. Again, he proclaimed his faith publicly. Again, the Quraysh attacked him. And again, Al-Abbas intervened and protected him. Abu Dharr had entered Makkah as a stranger. He would leave it as a believer willing to suffer for what he knew to be true. The messenger of Allah had instructed Abu Dharr to return to his people, so he went back. The desert that had once been the road toward uncertainty became the road toward his mission. He was no longer traveling merely to find truth. He was now carrying a message, and his people were the first people he would call toward it. Abu Dharr returned to Ghifar. He called his people toward Islam. He did not need wealth. He did not need armies. He had only conviction. His message was simple. Worship Allah. Follow his messenger. Leave falsehood behind. And among the people of Ghifar, hearts began to respond. Not everyone accepted immediately, but a significant portion of Ghifar embraced Islam. Their acceptance was not the result of political power. It came through conviction. Abu Dharr had returned from Makkah carrying the message he had discovered, and the people who had once known him as a tribesman now saw him as a caller to faith. Another part of the tribe waited. They said they would embrace Islam when the messenger of Allah came to Medina. Then, when Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, reached Medina, the remaining part of Ghifar accepted Islam. The tribe that had once been known for its place in the harsh desert now became connected to the early Muslim community. The story did not end with Ghifar. The tribe of Aslam also came to the messenger of Allah and declared its Islam. The message that had begun in Makkah was spreading across Arabia, and Abu Dharr had played a part in bringing that message to his own people. Abu Dharr's life would continue through the great transformations of the early Muslim community. He became known for his powerful character and his refusal to become attached to worldly wealth. For him, faith was not merely something to speak about, it was something to live. His simplicity became one of the defining features of his life. Years later, Abu Dharr would become known for his uncompromising concern about wealth and its accumulation. He recited the Quranic warning concerning those who hoard gold and silver and do not spend it in the way of Allah. His position was strong, and his words sometimes placed him in disagreement with powerful people. But Abu Dharr had always been that way. He had never been comfortable remaining silent when he believed truth was at stake. Abu Dharr spent time in the region of Syria. There, his outspoken position concerning wealth became increasingly difficult. He continued to insist upon what he understood from the Quran. His words attracted attention, and eventually his disagreements with authority contributed to his departure from the region. The details of these events belong to a period of early Islamic history that contains differing historical reports. So this film does not invent conversations that the authentic sources do not preserve. Eventually, Abu Dharr came to live at Al-Rabada. Far from the centers of political power, he continued his simple life. There were no palaces around him, no armies, no wealth, only the desert. And the man who had once crossed the desert searching for truth now lived in its silence. At Al-Rabada, Abu Dharr grew older. His possessions remained simple, his life remained austere, and the principles that had shaped him from the beginning did not disappear. He had traveled from Ghifar to Makkah, from Makkah to the early Muslim community, and eventually to the quiet isolation of Al-Rabada. His journey had been long, but his character remained recognizable. Abu Dharr's story also contains lessons about humility. In an authentic narration, he recalled that the messenger of Allah corrected him after he insulted another man by referring to his mother. The prophet told him that he still had characteristics of the time of ignorance. He then taught Abu Dharr that servants were brothers and should be treated with dignity, fed from what their masters ate, and clothed from what they wore. For Abu Dharr, faith was not only courage against oppression, it was also learning to correct oneself. Now the years had passed. Abu Dharr was an old man. The desert around him was vast and silent. His life had moved far away from the noise of Mecca, but the principles that had guided him remained. He had searched for truth. He had accepted it. He had suffered for it. And he had spent his life trying to live by it. The story of Abu Dharr was approaching its final chapter. He had become one of the most recognizable figures among the companions for his simplicity and fearless speech. But the end of a life does not erase its beginning. The same man who once stood alone in Mecca had never truly stood alone. His faith had accompanied him through every road he traveled. At Al-Rabada, the world seemed very far away. No great city surrounded him. No palace marked his presence. Only the desert stretched toward the horizon. And somewhere within that silence lived a man whose name would remain connected with courage, truthfulness, and detachment from worldly excess. Abu Dharr did not leave behind palaces. He did not leave behind fortunes. He left behind a reputation for conviction. A man who heard of a prophet and crossed the desert to investigate. A man who accepted Islam and refused to hide it. A man who returned to his people and called them to the truth. And a man who continued to speak according to what he believed, even when doing so came at a personal cost. The greatest lesson of Abu Dharr's life is not that he was fearless. It is that his search for truth was stronger than his fear. He did not know what awaited him in Makkah. He did not know whether the man he had heard about was truly a prophet. But he went to find out. And once he became convinced, his life changed forever. The desert becomes silent. The footsteps disappear. The traveler is gone. But a story remains.
Abu Dharr Al-Ghifari was not remembered because he possessed great wealth. He was remembered because he refused to sell his convictions for wealth. He was not remembered because he sought power. He was remembered because he sought truth. From the deserts of Ghifar to Makkah to the early days of Islam, and finally to the solitude of Al-Rabada, his life tells the story of a man who searched for truth, found it, and then spent the rest of his life trying to remain faithful to it. This was Abu Dharr Al-Ghifari, the man who crossed the desert searching for truth and could not remain silent once he found it.